Hi guys, do you know who the Labour government's biggest enemy is? Kemi Badenoch? Stop that giggling at the back. Is it Nigel Farage and Reform UK pushing the government in the wrong direction on issues like the culture war and immigration? No. While that's certainly a problem, it isn't Labour's biggest. The most serious threat to Labour is Labour itself, or more precisely, its comms. So what were the main stories in the UK on Thursday morning? Well, there was some coverage of a tiny increase in GDP. There was a story about Nigel Farage backing Ukraine joining NATO. There was a piece on how honest Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, has been with her CV. And that was pretty much it. What was the Labour government's focus this week? Immigration. However, there was this.
Breaking news on the NHS now. New figures showing the number of people on NHS waiting lists in England has fallen for a fourth month in a row. 7.46 million treatments were outstanding at the end of December, down from 7.48 million in November. Let's take you live now to the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading. Our health correspondent Ashish Joshi is there. Ashish, figures, we're just digesting them, but they're showing some improvements.
Yes, it's a mixed picture. There are improvements, there are gains being made in some areas, but other parts of the performance for the NHS in England really below the standard that's been set out for them. So, as you were saying, the big headline figure, the elective waiting list, 7.48 down to 7.46 million. So that's really the figure the government has been focusing on since it came into power. It says it wants to bring down that big waiting list, 18-week, the longest people waiting for elective care. That's come down slightly as well. And just going back over the summer, the winter, the number of people in hospital in beds with flu, that's fallen slightly. Ambulance handover times, they're improving. So we can see some improvement. But I have to stress, these are comparative figures to the previous month, but nowhere near the totals we saw pre-pandemic. Pretty mixed picture. Also, though, one figure that the government will be worried about, we have a new record for 12-hour trolley waits. That's at over 60,000 for the first time. This is the number of hours patients spend on trolleys before they are actually moved into beds or onto wards.
Okay, look, there are some negatives, but generally it's a positive, especially during the winter period where the waiting list generally rises or there are serious problems for the NHS. Now, when I said at the beginning, Labour's greatest enemy is Labour itself, why is the Prime Minister not talking about the NHS waiting list coming down? Where is the Health Secretary? Why aren't they holding a press conference? They held a press conference to talk about stopping the boats. Keir Starmer organised a press conference, stood in front of a podium and delivered a speech about stopping the boats, when this is not something that most people care about. The primary concern for the average voter is the cost of living and the NHS. And here is a success story that's not been jumped on by the government. Starmer was talking about immigration during the week. Why isn't he talking about this? This is actually an important story for the average voter. It's almost as if they don't want to win the next election. Here is a golden opportunity. Organize a press conference. Is it a massive story? Not a huge story. The numbers are down slightly, but that's good news. That should be something that the Labour government are trumpeting. Here we have a success. Everything else is going to crap. But here's a success story that we could jump on, we can promote, and we can say, here, we're actually working hard and we're delivering for the average person. Because the average person generally has to rely on the NHS in some way. Here is an opportunity and it's not been taken. I honestly don't understand this. Instead of talking about Nigel Farage and immigration and culture wars and all that other crap, why aren't you talking about this? The NHS. The second priority of the average voter, the average person on the street. This is wonderful news for the average. Is it a massive drop? Of course not. And there is, as he said, the reporter, it's a mixed bag. There are some negatives, like 12-hour waiting times on trolleys. That's not good. But the overall picture is positive. No press conference. no delivering a speech in number 10. I don't even know if there was any media coverage over this, apart from what Sky News has done. Honestly, I don't understand. Where is the communications team for the Labour Party? Why isn't the Prime Minister talking about this? He instead on Thursday was run out of town by a bunch of farmers. That story got more coverage than this did. Somebody needs to be fired. And I'm talking about somebody within the communications department, if it even exists. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.